Hey, hard hats! It's the big guy Scott Ferrara, Mike the Grand Poobah Parazzini, and it's the break time with the big guy and the Grand Poobah. Man, it always feels good after a win. Hey, Mikey.
Absolutely, it's better, better a win than a loss. So I'll take it any day.
And Mikey caught exactly one fish while he was up there for 8 hours ice fishing, freezing his ass off. But how many beers
Absolutely.
did you catch? That's the question.
Not too many. We had, had a few PBRs. Smoked some cigars. Had a nice time. Caught exactly one pike, which I've never caught a pike before. It was a keeper. So
if you want to see it, check out this week's episode of the Rugby Rant, because Mikey did send me a picture, and I made sure that picture made the edit. The Rugby Rant comes out in about an hour. Check it out at Rugby Rant Pod on Facebook, and you'll see Mikey there. Anyway, besides all Mikey's bullshit about why he didn't come to the opening at Memorial Field last weekend, we have one of the good fly halves from the Ironworkers, Eamonn Matthews. Welcome to the
show. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Mike, for having me. It's really cool. Really cool to be on.
Listen, we love having guys on. It's one of those things where we love talking to the players. We love getting to know you. We love getting, the fans getting to know you. Especially again, after a win, we're amped up. We opened up Memorial Field with a big win against Toronto, which we'll talk about in a second, but just stadium atmosphere from me, obviously. We got to tailgate. If you guys are coming down to the OGs, we tailgate in the first floor of the Best Buy parking lot. It's a municipal parking lot. It's free. Come see me. Come see Rob Rorty. Come see Alecki. Jason Zimmerman's going to be there. The whole crew is going to be there. Hard hats. Come hang out. We're probably going to get there around 10:30, 11 o'clock. Going into the stadium, easy time with the tickets. Everything was QR codes, and right to the merch tent. Got to see our girl Jazz. Check out Jazz at the merch tent. If you're not buying merch from Jazz, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm not wearing it because my wife is washing it so I can wear it, because she tells me I'm not allowed to wear dirty clothes to rugby anymore. I don't know why, but she told me to. Dude, they have this old school rugby shirt with the hoops and the long sleeves and the big white collar and the secondary New York logo, only available at Memorial Field on game day. And I think they sold out. I got the first one, and then they just kept going. And I know a bunch of people were asking, well, will you have them next week? And I'm pretty sure Jazz was like, probably not. And there's Jazz. There we go. See, I'm pushing the merch. I should get some commission. But after the merch tent, went to the food trucks. Didn't order any food because I was stuffed from the tailgate. I got to be quite honest. But everybody else was ordering food. They had the street tacos there. They had stout there with the beer. Again, cash only. There's no ATM on premises, so please bring cash if you guys are coming to the stadium for food and beer. And then right to the field. I got on the field to do the show. Me and Mike Petrie were kind of walking the field together, bullshitting a little bit. Here we go. The steak truck was the bomb. There we go. Me and Peaches are kind of walking around, testing out the field. I mean, the feeling of the brand new turf is always good. It was nice. They took out the football lines, so I know from a fan perspective, a lot of fans like that. Me personally, I felt it's always easier for a new fan to see how much you're actually gaining on your runs and stuff when you have those markers there. But I know the purist, there's no football lines or whatever the fuck. But I'm just saying, for my father, who is kind of a neophyte in rugby, it was easier for him to understand, okay, we're actually gaining yardage here, we're losing yardage there, just based on those things. But Mikey didn't experience any of that shit. So
I was going to say, from a TV perspective and watching it, because, I was watching the game in my little, fishing shanty. It looking at the field, it was nice. You could definitely tell there were still some football lines, but they were definitely blended in incredibly well. A lot less busy, which I absolutely loved. I think, that's the greatest compromise. Everyone's saying, oh, why don't you have a single use, rugby field in, New York City? And it's like, well, because fuck you. That's why. That's
exactly.
Do we have fuck you money? No, we don't. But I think this was great. It looked like everything was awesome there. I can't believe, I missed the first game, but it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to coming down and being there in person, sometime this season.
Yeah, no, it was fun. They had the Jumbotron was up with all the graphics, and Stanton assured me this week we're going to even have more graphics on there. It was kind of a rush job as they're trying to get stuff straightened out. In my opinion, very little issues as far as, gaining entry, getting your tickets, all the fan stuff. Bathroom accessibility was easy. Getting to your seats were easy. Everything's clearly marked. It is benches, so bring a seat pad if that's what you need. My father's a little bit older, So he has his old Met seat pad he always brings with him. So that was perfect for him. The sun does go back past the stadium, so it does get a little bit colder as the sun goes past the stadium. So if you're one of those people who are a little bit colder, I would suggest you bundle up a little bit. The big guy probably going to be in t-shirts, short, and flip-flops. As soon as that shit hits 45, it's summer for me. No, but seriously, that's just one of the things I noticed. And honestly, looking back, and I watched a little bit on TRN the replay just to look at it. It did look a lot better. The angles were better than anything we've had before. So let's ask the guy. So, Eamonn, how is it playing on this brand new field?
It was, I mean, plain and simple, it was awesome. We'd been there twice before the game, just kind of, getting comfortable with it. It's our new home, so we want to be comfortable in your home and get used to it. So the first time we were there, it was just on one of our trainings. We went up there, had a good training day, and it's like right away you could tell it was nice. The turf feels good. It's really cool to see. Just I guess like I didn't realize how many seats there just were. And that was really cool to see. It's like a proper stadium atmosphere. And then when you look down towards the end and where all the food trucks were, you could see, when it was empty, you could see like the layout, how it was going to be. And it kind of gives you that feeling. You see the pictures in your head like, oh, cool. We're going to have some stuff down there. We're going to have some stuff over here. And then the second time we went was when we put up the post ourselves, which was such like a callback to my high school rugby days, but in the best possible way. And it was just such like the ironworker standard. It's something that we've been talking a lot amongst the team. So it was, it was funny. You get 30 plus professional rugby players, and you tell them you have to put up your own posts, and in the wrong group, it might rub some guys the wrong way, but we just got to work. We made jokes about it. I know Stan got some good material from it, but we had fun doing it. And then the third time was for the game, obviously, and that was by far the best time. You go just warming up when the bus pulled in, and you could hear everyone. I know CN and Fordham played before the game, which is awesome that we got some local schools playing and giving them an opportunity to showcase themselves as players and for the school's teams. And then it was just going out there for the warm-up, running through the tunnel and hearing people before you even saw them, and then standing for the national anthem. It was really, really unbelievable. I mean, everyone's standing in front of us in the stands, and you're like, crap, like this is a lot of people. And you look to the left, and there's even more people down by the food trucks. And it just felt like such a proper professional atmosphere. It was, I loved every second of it.
That's awesome. That's what I love to hear. It's funny. So you talk about the noise, and obviously I'm a yeller, and I'm kind of right next to a camera, so I wonder if they hear me. But it's all metal, and I was trying to really get some like good foot action, and it's all brand new, so it's nice and tight, so nothing's really moving, and you're kind of like my hip's still kind of hurting. And I was looking down, and I tell my father, hey, how many screwdrivers you think we can bring with us? They're not going to catch the front door. And he's like, what?
Loosen it up.
Yeah, maybe we're going to. And then I looked down, it was all riveted. I'm like, fuck. You can't loosen them up. Because I'm like, man, if we could really get banging, it'll be loud. But yeah, the food truck area is nice, and I know that they're going to be putting some tables and chairs out by that patio area in the near future. There's some more space that they can add to, and it just wasn't set up for last week. And to be honest, last week's weather wasn't going to be the greatest anyway to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. But as we roll into the spring and summer months, we're going to have a nice patio area. Yeah, it was great. Everything on the big board, replays. So we'll go through real quick. I mean, the Ironworkers won 39-3. It was a big win against a Toronto team that unfortunately was down. They were out every single one of their fly halves, which you never want as a team. You had a guy just filling in a fly half, and unfortunately, Mitch Richardson, his inexperience showed, especially in the first half where Toronto really couldn't get out of their own half. But unfortunately, also Rooney also kind of had their own handling errors. First half and kind of getting the jitters out. I think, there was a lot of hype and there's a lot of juice, and sometimes you kind of try a little too hard on what you're doing. And you make those mistakes, but we settled down. It's, I think the biggest thing that, really happened in that first half was unfortunately, Ciaran Breen and Cole Davis colliding, the two Toronto players colliding, and, Ciaran's shoulder hit Cole right in the mouth, apparently, is what I was told, and he was out, and then hit his head on the ground and was really out. Credit to the official, credit to all the medical staff was running on the field before the official called the time. Not that the official was not going to call the time immediately, but he was looking at the ball before he could put the whistle to his mouth. But I mean, if you could, this is probably the quickest reaction time I've ever seen. Both teams' medical staff getting there. The Mount Vernon Police, fire department was there, and their EMS was there. I know that Cole was conscious getting into the ambulance, and he was subsequently released a day later and traveled back home with the team. So we wish him a speedy recovery. It's one of those hits you never want to see in rugby. You never want to see anybody get hurt. Luckily, Siren, I believe, came right back. I don't even think he went in for an HIA because he just kind of, they collided and he landed on his ass, really. Thank God, knock on wood. But it was one of those things we're glad to see him through. We go into the second half, and all of a sudden, you guys poured it on him. Ben Bonasso and Nate Brakely running like I wouldn't say gazelles. We'll say giraffes. Big, knocky-kneed, very tall giraffes. But man, they were running really hard. Connor Buckley got the start at scrum half. Hashtag muscle hamster. Probably the jackest scrum half you'll ever see. I mean, really, it's like a bodybuilder at the number 9 position there with Connor. But then let's talk about Eamonn. Eamonn comes in, getting the ball out quick, really working the ball down the line, and all of a sudden, the Ironworkers are down inside the 5-meter mark. And Eamonn, can you talk us through what you were thinking when you scored your try there?
Sure. So it had been, our speed of play had been a big focus as a team in general, especially when we got down in that area. We've been talking about it just as a personal and team-wise goal. It's we want to be fast at all parts of the field. We take a lot of pride in that. And I mean, a lot of people, and especially probably some people who are more new to the game, rugby casuals, they see more of like the flashy stuff. So the big runs, the scores, and they'll see a lot of that. And it's the cool part, and that's what we want to show. But if you go back and watch, especially the second half of the game, our breakdown work was awesome. And any 9 will tell you all we want is clean ball. When we have clean ball, it makes everybody's lives easier. It makes our lives easier. And I like our boys, our forwards when we were hitting it in the middle, and our backs when we were getting it to the edge. It was some of the best breakdown work that I've ever experienced playing, and it made everything else easier. So in that moment, our boys have been running really hard, punching really good holes. I think we had about 4 or 5 consecutive phases of gain line, and it's very tough to defend in that situation because you're trying to cover space and people while going backwards. So, and that's just a lot of credit to our runners. And it's like, I can't talk about the breakdown. Our breakdown work was great. And then I was just fortunate enough that we had gotten to a point where we'd put them back literally up against the wall. We're probably a meter out. And the defender who was at that first position, I assume was just getting ready to punch out because we've been playing back and forth as fast as we could. And he just left the hole vacated, and I was right place, right time, and just dove over.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you watch the video, there's a nice video on Instagram. Prior to where the video is positioned at and starts at, we had been throwing the balls out to our forwards and those quick pop passes and seeing what we could get. And you're right, the defender just kind of started to lean and sneak over, and he took about 2 steps to his left, and you kind of just looked up like, did he just move and took it right in for the score?
Is this real? Okay.
Yeah. Like you can almost see like you looked up like surprise on your face a little bit. Like, did he just move? Because there's nobody around you. Here's our boy, New England Free Jacks, the Jacks Rangers. So what up to Phil Harris? Always got to shout him out. But yeah, you kind of, if you see the video, you look up like for a split second, like shit, and then just dive right in, right through that A gap. And you're right. It's the big boys up front. And even I got to be honest, you had players like Fossey Fuatai and Jason Emery in the breakdown. Yeah, Fossey was in the breakdown. You had your wings, you had your centers in your breakdown, but the big boys running the ball and gaining some meters like we talked about before. I mean, Nick Mayhew gaining meters, Tavita Lange coming in for his first appearance for the Ironworkers and getting meters. Caleb Geiger scoring almost immediately when he got in, but again, coming off a maul, rolling. So I think they were so thinking about big boy play that they just that's what happens. You make that mental mistake, you move over, and then a cheeky 9 like you pops one right in. So it's one of those things where when you see it, you like that your 9 does it because you're paying attention. It wasn't just like you're just going to throw it out and not look.
Yeah.
which some younger players can do, especially when they're home field. And again, everybody's amped up and
yeah. I mean, we talk about younger players, but I'm personally do it all the time when you get so focused on playing fast that you just get to the ball and move it and you're not scanning. But if you look at the whole 60 minutes that Connor was in, he was taking his snipes almost every 2 or 3 phases and just things like that. Because he had a couple breakaways, he had his tap and go, but even from the rucks, he was getting gain line. I want to say if he had 10 snipes, I think he made gain line 7 of them. But those other 3, they still keep the defense honest.
Yep, exactly.
And when you do things like that the whole time, it starts opening up space. And then when you tack around the rucks, and then it opens up space wide, and then you go to space wide, and then space opens up back around the rucks. So it was just a very, it was a good day of keeping them honest with how we were playing.
Keeping the the attack game balanced in that way as well. Again, going short when you have a gap, or going long when you brought them in on a really hard breakdown. So now we're gonna get into the interview portion. This is me and Mikey's favorite portion. So I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna say, you have to spend your money on an MLR kit. Can't be Rooney. What kit are you purchasing in 2023?
This is a tough one. I wish you guys would give me any kind of prep. So
that's the whole point. We want to get you in trouble with the organization.
I'm going to answer with this because I've had friends who play in a lot of places. One of my best friends, college roommate Kyle Sakara, they call him the Eagle at the Free Jacks.
God.
We lived together for 4 years at Bonnie's. So, and then my other friend from Atlanta, Connor Keys, they're one of my really good friends. But I can't choose the Free Jacks because they're a competitor. My old
you hear that, Phil? You hear that?
Yeah.
One of my old buddies, John Sullivan, another Bonnie's connection, played Atlanta with them last year. When he was with NOLA, my mom got me one of the Mardi Gras jerseys, which I always think are really sharp. But they're in the East, so I can't pick NOLA either. I can't pick Atlanta because now they're an enemy. So I'm actually going to be honest, and just as much as based on the uniform, which I think has always been maybe not the loudest, but it's very sharp, and I just think the place is beautiful, I would go Utah Warriors.
Listen, I like the Utah fit. First of all, the red and black, always a good color, especially for the MLR teams that have had kits that are red and black. I think knock them out of the park. And of course, wearing it and either playing or watching at Zion Bank Stadium, you can't beat that. Let's be honest.
Beautiful places.
Yeah, it's especially in the United States, definitely. So
it's almost as good as Mount Vernon. Almost as good as Memorial.
Almost. You can see the big guy's house if you squint really bad. The Bronx is right there. You got the Hutch next to you. Target's right in front of you. I mean, listen, you can't beat that. I got to be honest, if you said we're having a team in New York and we're putting it in the middle of a city, this is what I envision. Is Mount Vernon, to be quite honest. But yeah, that's a good one. Oh man, you know what? He went through the whole thing too. He was teasing us with that Free Jacks thing. Oh, I'm friends with Kyle, dude. I'm like, he better not say Free Jacks. He better not say Free Jacks.
No, I'm not that stupid.
I was gonna say you kind of mentioned it as you're going through, but you're a St. Bonaventure product. You're one of many St. Bonaventure products that's in the MLR. So what was it like, playing rugby under Tui? And then what's it like being one of many St. Bonaventure, players that is now playing professionally for the MLR?
Oh, absolutely. So I have been very fortunate in my rugby journey to have some of the most incredible coaches. I mean, at every step of the way at Xavier, every Nine's dream is to be coached by the USA Nine, and I was fortunate enough to have Mike Petrie. I did miss Tolkien, which I was always bummed about. I was the 4 years that he was away doing national team duty, but I did have Petrie, Norris, and Sweeney are great coaches. St. Bonaventure, though, taught me how to take my game to the next level, and specifically Tui did that. And I think you see with the amount of, from such a small school who very recently has made a push to be competitive at the high collegiate level. Tui has been a massive, massive influence on me. He's a mentor I'll have in my life forever. He was the first, honestly, he's probably the first person who directly told me what I was bad at. And he wasn't, he didn't shy away from it. He never put me down, but he was like, look, if you're serious about taking games to the next level, you need to get better at X, Y, and Z. And I spent a lot of time doing that. I actually, ironically enough, think I was very lucky that I went into the MLR the year before the draft happened. because I don't think I was MLR ready when I graduated. And going down to Atlanta, being with their academy and being with them in their first or second year, where, in my opinion, it's safe to say, look back on now, if they were more established at that point, I don't think I would have lasted as long as I did. But because it was the building program, and but it's another place that I was benefit of incredible coaching, Scott Lawrence, Nessa Malifa, Blake, and Steve Brett in the last 2 years, I was able to grow and either grow rapidly or get left behind. So that was just a big part of my journey that I'm very grateful for. But Tui, sorry, I ramble a little bit. I apologize.
Okay.
To bring it back to Bonnie's, I mean, Tui is awesome. What he's doing up there, all those players. I mean, you look in the last 4 years, you've put Kyle Sequeira, myself, and now Sebastiano Villani down in NOLA, all in the MLR. He's doing the right things up there, and the program's going the right way. So it's very great. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, you could see it. Yeah, and it's good. It's always nice to see the Xavier kids. I'm an honor prep kid, so it's always like to see the local Catholic high school kids doing well. So my next question, this is always a good one. I believe the next away match is March 19th against the Free Jacks. Now, you guys are away. Who on the team would you not want to room with?
Oh, that's a tough one, because this is my first year with the team, and I've only roomed with a couple of guys so far, and I've been really lucky. I roomed with Andrew Coe, who's great, Baki, who was great, and Daquan Perry, all good guys. None of them snored, which I was very.
All right, so every single prop is out. So
so I was gonna say, I think when it comes to the worst ones I've heard so far might be Nick Mayhew. Sounds like a chainsaw. I've heard. Everyone's been pretty clean. I kind of look at those things in the locker room. Nobody's a mess or all. I don't think anyone would be bad to room with, but just based on the rumor, when it comes to sleeping, I'm gonna have to throw a Mayhew under the bus. Yeah, I'll wear that one.
I love that.
And now a two-parter that we got for every single Rooney player has answered this. Which do you prefer? Long socks or short socks, and then plain cleats or flashy cleats?
All right, so the first one's funny you ask, because up until I was very insecure about it. I was never insecure about it, and then 2 years ago I became insecure about it, and then I just kind of said, "Screw it, I'm gonna do my thing." I've always been a long socks guy. My dad and my uncles started a rugby club in Bayonne in the late 80s called Bayonne Bombers, and I would always see the pictures of them from the 80s and the 90s, where they had the long wool shirts with the collars, the shorts, and the high socks. So I always had the high socks in my mind. I used to go high socks and jersey tucked in.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
proper.
Okay.
That's proper.
My first year with Atlanta's academy, we're getting ready for our first game, and I tucked the jersey in, and I have the shorts up, and I'm looking myself in the mirror, and I'm feeling good. And one of my friends or teammate, I'm not gonna say his name, he comes up to me and he goes, "Dude, you look like a large toddler." Like, you look like somebody dressed you to try and make you look like a rugby player. Get comfortable. So I kind of, my glass shattered. I saw reality, and I keep the long socks, but I do untuck my jersey now to be a little bit more natural. But it's actually a point in the game. My partner Tierney, she pointed out. She asked me the same question. She goes, "Are you long socks or short socks?" And I come with the long socks, and after like 2 or 3 phases, they drop down, and then you can see on camera, I pull them right back up at the next break. So I love the long socks. Cleats, flashy or plain, whichever is on sale at the moment.
Here we go.
I've never been a big cleat guy. The ones I have right now are probably the flashiest I've ever had. I feel like Buzz Lightyear when I wear them. And also shout out Charlie Hewitt, who has the same cleats, and I said to him, it's probably not a good thing when scrum half and lock have the same fucking cleats.
Oh God!
But I'm pretty easy with that stuff. Whichever I can get the most affordable at that moment, and will last me well.
That's awesome. All right, I'm gonna ask one last one, and then Michael ask his last one. All right, so we already know who controls the music at practice, and it's not you.
No.
You get to pick one song you could play at a practice session. What song are you playing?
Ooh, one song to play at a practice session from my personal catalog would probably, let me check on my Spotify really quick, because I have a playlist and I'm so used to it now that the songs just kind of go and go and go.
Oh man, that's great.
Oh, all right. Lately, wait, that one. Damn it. All right. One song just to get me going, like a good kind of vibe. I'll probably go "Mind Over Matter" by Young the Giant. Just
There we
good,
go.
yeah, good feel good song, loud. Starts off a little bit low, and then you hit the chorus. I'd be fine with that. And I don't think anybody judge me too hard. That's because that's the second part of the problem. I never envy the person who has to play their music for the team. There's always gonna be someone who hates what you play, no matter what.
His name is Dylan Fawcett.
And I was gonna say, final question. You are a local product, but you're coming in from ATL. How has it been, integrating into the team?
It's probably been a lot easier than I would have thought. I had a lot of nerves and trepidation coming back, to be totally honest with you. I mean, I loved my time in Atlanta. I have nothing bad to say about that place. Jason Dom, the 8-man, I was just in his wedding over back in November. I mean, I truly made some friends and relationships that last me for a lifetime. And I talked to you guys earlier about how much I benefited from the rugby and appreciate it. But I always wanted to play for New York since the team was founded. I'll never lie about that. I'll never shy away from that. It hurt when I didn't my first year out of college. I also won't lie about that, but I'm grateful for the journey I've had and to be back there now. But when I came back and when I signed with the team, I did have a lot of people say, you're home. It's nice to be home. It's nice to be home. And the fact of the matter is, I actually moved into my current apartment with my partner in October, before I even knew I was going to be playing with New York. So it was kind of, regardless of whether I played or not, I was going to be home. And now when I think of home, just as much I think of here in Jersey City where I grew up, I also think of that locker room, because the boys have just been unbelievable. And, obviously I didn't play a lot. If you look at my history, I didn't play a lot with Atlanta. I had a lot of appearances, but there was still that rivalry was very real. We played each other in the playoffs, every year that Atlanta's been established. And we both look at each other, I think, as very, very real and good opponents. So I did think about that a little bit. And I also thought about how I'm late to these relationships. Obviously, you guys have been here for a while. But, I mean, the boys have just, since day one, have just been awesome. And every day I've become more and more comfortable. And I'm an extrovert by nature. I know I am. But you still feel nervous when you go into those environments, because as much as it is a family, it's also the competition. It's a job now. But being, even if you want to look at the Nines locker room, with both Connors, they've been phenomenal. All three of us, I think we have such a good relationship in terms of competing, but also pushing each other to be great. And then off the pitch, the guys have just, rugby dudes are a certain type of dude, and usually wherever you go, if there's a rugby guy there, you can mesh. But these boys are very family-oriented people, and they've welcomed me into theirs. And it's been easier than I could have ever imagined in that aspect, and it's just been great. I'm really appreciative of the guys, and I do love being home. I can't say it any other way.
That's awesome. Real quick before we go, we're just going to talk about week 3 a little bit. We got OGs coming to Mount Vernon, to Memorial Field. OGs are coming off a bye week in week 1. They had a very impressive win against the Chicago Hounds. DC opened up in Segra Field week 1. Here's what I have to say. Their front pack looks good. Their set pieces look good. I think we match well in the set pieces, though. There's a lot of juice when you're playing your first match at home. That kind of gives you some of that magic, that secret stuff, as they would say, Michael's secret stuff, right? The other thing is they're playing the Hounds. The Hounds look a little bit disheveled when they were playing. It really wasn't much of a match. OGs handled them, which is going to be a little bit different than playing, a team that has been practicing for a month or two now, has played 2 matches, one really hard match away and one really good match at home. So I think it's going to come down to the backline guys. I think it's going to come down to the spine positions and what can our wings do? Can Ed break free? Can Andrew break free? Not that I've been disappointed in their play. I've been disappointed that guys have had the chance to take them down cleanly, because as we know, Andrew's slippery like an eel, and Ed, as soon as he gets going, he's gone. But the people playing against them have been doing very well at making what I call one and done tackles, completing their own tackle, and then having somebody come over and hit that breakdown secondarily. But that's just luck, and that's just skill. That's what you're going to run into. You're going to have a team that's going to be tackling you better one week to the next, or worse one week to the next. So I think if we can break some of those tackles and make some of those gains, that'll be the difference between us and the OGs. Mikey, what do you think?
I think my thing is going to be, finishing in the red zone, finishing inside the 22. If you look at, the game this past week, there's so many times we're driving down the field, we're inside opposition 22. We had the ball. We went into halftime up 13-0. In all reality, it could have been, 20 something, 30 something to nothing at halftime, with how much we had the ball and how, we're constantly in their own zone. So it just means we got to finish, when we get down there, we got to finish. A few unlucky breaks, a few handling errors, a few times guys were breaking away and no one was there to ruck. That's the stuff that we got to do. Unfortunately, Toronto kept shooting themselves in the foot and giving us the opportunities to keep coming back. But I don't think this is not the OGs team that we've seen in the past. This is definitely a very tough OGs team, and they've talked about how they've done an overhaul basically of the organization and how they want to win. So I think it's going to be a very tough game, and that with that being said, we're going to have to make sure that when we get our chances to score, we do score.
Yep. Another thing, make sure Danny Tusitala doesn't get under our skin. He's very typical 90, like a little gnat. He always circles around stuff, trying to start fights. But
I'm gonna be honest. I love it seems like a
you're
different
fucking 9, Mike.
It seems like if it's a different Danny Tusitala. Like I don't feel like he was getting under Chicago's skin. He was getting feisty. As a 9, I like that. I don't know. I'll let the forwards do the work for me. I'll start shit and let them do it. But yeah,
All right, before we go, Mike, give us your over under and give us your score real quick.
I'm gonna say total score is definitely gonna be over 50, and I'm going to say Rugby New York by 5.
I would say that's good. Plus -3 for the home field advantage, and then solid 2. I think it's going to be a tight match, but I think we're going to squeak one out. You're right. OGs really have upgraded, but this is what we love to see. We want to make sure every team is competitive in our conference, and that way we know we're going to keep the shield, at least in the Eastern Conference. But we know we want to keep it here in New York. Anyway, yeah, I think Rooney by 5 is a good score. Eamonn, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. Great to see you out there last week. Hopefully you'll be on the selection sheet when it comes out in the next day or two. We'd love to see you play. And if not, just come hang out with the big guy. Jazz, see Jazz at the merch tent on Sunday. Come hang out. Like I said, we tailgate first floor of the Best Buy parking lot. Come see the big guy and hang out with the rest of the hard hats. Check us out at the preview show 30 minutes before match time. I'm the big guy, Scott Farrar. That's Mike the Grand Poobah Perazini. Eamonn has to go do some trivia night at the bar. So we're going to let him go. And everybody else, we'll see you guys on Sunday. Let's go Ironworkers.